So, good morning, Mom. Good morning, classmates. So, I will be continuing our report, which is the Republic Act number 7353. And I will be discussing the Section 6 to Section 10. So, now let's proceed to discuss what is inside in the Section 6. Section 6 states in the first paragraph that loans or advances extended by rural banks organized and operated under this act shall be primarily for the purpose of meeting the normal credit needs of farmers, fishermen, or farm families owning or cultivating land dedicated to agricultural production, as well as the normal credit needs of cooperatives and merchants. And granting of loans, the rural bank shall give preference to the application of farmers and merchants whose cash requirements are small. So those farmers, fishermen, farm families, or the other normal credit needs, which are the cooperatives and merchants also that are lack of or lack of financial that they need to that they need for their operation, they are be helped with the rural bank, which is the rural bank provide loans to them to help them to improve their especially in the farmers, no, um having loan in the rural bank, it helps them to improve their production. And also, by having this loan, it helps them to acquire new investment, new technology that help their agricultural production processes. So in the second paragraph of the section 6, here is that it is state that the rural bank accept collateral, which is the very important collateral of loans, is the torrent title. Okay, of course, some of the farmers, no, let's example na natin ang farmers. Some of the farmers, not some of the farmers, but most of the farmers, no, if they are going to acquire loan in the rural bank, some of them, um, ang ilahang collateral is the torrent title. But then, some of them also don't have a torrent title na mapakita nila for the rural bank. But then, the rural bank accepted it, and then, mo-provide gihapon sila even though there is no torrent title where the owner or private property. But then, they need to show at least 5 years on more peaceful, continuous, and uninterrupted possession and a concept of the owner. So, mo lang na siyang pasabot diri as there's a ikaduha nga paragraph sa section 6. So the third paragraph state that provided that when the corresponding titles are issued, the same shall be delivered to the Register of Deeds of the province where such lands are situated to the annotation of the encumbrance. Provided further that in the case of lands pending homestead of free patent titles, copies of notice for the presentation of the final proof shall also be furnished to the creditor rural bank, and if the borrower application fails to present the final proof within 30 days from the date of the notice, the creditor will bank may do so for them at their expense. So it only state here, no, in the third paragraph that if there is an issuance of the titles sa katong land that is connected also in the second paragraph, it will be delivered to the Register of Deeds, not immediately but directly, no, dito yun na padulong sa Register of Deeds for the annotation of the encumbrance. And in case that there will be kanang mangita na o kanang final proof or copies of notice or pamatuod that kana siya nga land is imuha, is that you need o kinahanglan lang ni I mean it only takes 30 days, no, from the date of the notice na dapat ma-present mo ang final proof that that land is yours. But then if ma-feel si borrower, mapakita nga kasulod sa 30 days na dili gyud niya mapakita ang final proof, is that the expense of that will not be coming from her or him, but it is welcome to the rural bank. Sila ang mag ano sa expense ana. and provided furthermore that the applicant where homestead of repad has already made improvements in the land and the loan applied for it to be used for further development of the same for other productive economic activities. Provided finally the appraisal and verification of the status of a land is the full responsibility of the rural bank. Ngunit kung gigan kaina that it is not the responsibility of the borrower, especially that the World Bank accepted it, no, in the second paragraph of this section 6 ba, it is state that di ba ganyan nito gossip si Rural Bank o collateral which is the torrent title, but then they also provided loans even though there is no torrent title. So that's why here if ma feel si borrower, the expense will come from the rural bank. So in the fourth paragraph of the section 6, it only state here no that they also address the procedures of foreclosure of mortgage that is sold by the rural bank, wherein we all know what is mortgage, no? It is a loan or utang. So for the foreclosure proceedings for loan that granted by the rural bank, dapat dili siya may zid of the principal amount which is amounting 100,000 pesos or higher of the 100,000 pesos. It is based on the economic conditions and it will be exempted only in the newspaper publication requirement mandated by law. So, this newspaper publication, and this is where they are going to post the execution of judgment of the foreclosure of mortgage. But then, it state here in the fourth paragraph no na instead of posting it to the newspaper publication, they will be posted it in the municipal building, public market, rural banks, and barangay hall. And the duration of the posting is only good for 60 days, immediately preceding the public auction or execution of the judgment. So, mo lang dyan na siya ang kanang focus area sa kaupat nga paragraph. So we already done discussing the section 6. So now let's proceed to the section 7. So section 7 under this Republic Act number 7353 state that the focusing on promoting the balance on rural economic growth by encouraging rural bank to support small businesses that are beyond with agriculture. And the only primary goal of this section is to ensure that rural banks contribute to overall economic development of the rural areas by providing credit not only for farmers but also to small businesses. This is what I said in the first section of section 6 na they will not only extend the loans to the small farmers, cooperatives and merchants, but also to the small businesses. And also, the Monetary Board has only the authority to limit and set condition on the portions of loanable funds that rural banks can allocate to non-agricultural businesses, which is mga small businesses. Pero, dapat dili siya pwede may zin of 15% of the rural bank net worth. That is according to the section 6. Now, let's discuss the section 8. So, here is the section 8. Primary objective of the section 8 is to provide supplemental capital to rural bank, especially during sa ilahang initial stage of operation to meet their growing credit demands. So, in this section, mandate na the LBP or the Land Bank of the Philippines, DBP Development Bank of the Philippines, or any other government-owned shall be subscribed to the capital stock of any rural bank within 30 days only. Only if they meet the certain condition like government institution subscription amount nila dapat equal siya sa total equity investment of the private stakeholders in the rural bank. The second condition is that the subscription amount that they need to pay to be paid dapat fall at the time of the subscription, dapat nabayaran na rin siya. And also, in every investment, there is an exit. So, the exit here under this section is that the government or the shares the government can be paid off and retired only if when the rural bank has accumulated enough capital strength to permit retirement rather. It means nga si rural bank is already financially stable and no longer needed the government. In case of retirement, si government ang iyang pagka-registered private shareholders sa rural bank he has or they has the right to preemption within 1 year from the date of the offer. It means yan na pa sila yung right to purchase the government shares in proportion of holdings, but it depends on them if they are going to preempt or not. The second paragraph of the section 8, under this section, they define the specification or the different specific characteristics of the preferred stock held by the government owned when they invest in the rural bank. They also outline the processes of converting the preferred stock into common stock if they are sold to private shareholders. So these are the three preferred stock characteristics. First is the asset preference, second, no voting rights, and three is the dividend distribution. So first, the asset preference. Preferred stock held by GOFIS is considered preferred only as the asset upon liquidation. The second preferred stock characteristic is no voting rights. This is to ensure nga si GOFIS do not have any influence over the management or the decision making of the rural bank. The third is the dividend distribution. The preferred stock receives a fixed dividend distribution schedule according to the fixed dividend. So if 1 to 2 years the percent is only 4, 3 to 4 years is 6%, 5 to 6 years is 8%, 7 to 8 is 10%, and 9 to 15 years is 12%. And there is no preference. So the third paragraph of the section 8 it states that under this section, they outline the procedures for reporting and amending the articles of incorporation of the rural bank when the preferred stock is sold to private shareholders and converted into common stock. So they only need the requirement or the reporting requirement, which is first is the transfer of report, the second is the SEC or the Security of Exchange Commission record. So first, and last, under this section 8, they also address the issue past due loans held by the Rural Bank as of December 31, 1986. Under this section, they mandate the conversion of all supervised past due and restructured past due loans into preferred stocks. 50% of it past due and restructured will be converted. For the issuance, only the LBP, DBP, and other government-owned are going to issue it. And for the penalties on the past due loans are waived is that for accrued interest of the arrearages. And next is section 9. So under this section, they empower that LBP, DBP, and other government-owned to raise funds from any source permitted by existing laws and regulation. This funding is especially allocated for subscribing to the shares of stock of rural banks as outlined in Section 13 of the Act. Provision, they allow the government institution to act as investors in the rural bank, providing them with the necessary capital to support the expansion of the rural economic development. And under this section, the LBP, DBP, and other government-owned are authorized to raise funds. The purpose of the raising fund is that to re-embark for subscribing to shares of stock in rural banks. And last but not the least, the section 10. So under this section, it establishes the procedures for issuing stock certificates in rural bank and clarifies the authority of the monetary board in regulating this institution. So under this section, the stock certificates are issued to represent a capital stock that are made by the government through LBP, DBP, or other government institution or government-owned, and also the stock certificates are issued to qualified individuals or entitled who contribute to the rural bank capital stock. So only the government or only the monetary board rather has the powers to regulate of stock issuance in prescribing stock classes. So that will be the end of my report, and thank you.